everyone, welcome back. Ignore the sunglasses, I didn't pay for them. But today, we lined up some sheet metal. Thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate all of you who've subscribed lately and who's been subscribed for a long period of time. If you're new, welcome, I appreciate it. I am now headed out to Warwick, Rhode Island. When you live in the upper northeast here, New England, it ain't too difficult to just jump states daily. So it's literally a 35-minute ride into the heart of Rhode Island in order to get sheet metal. But I was recommended this place by a buddy of mine, Pete Pollard, who runs B&H Racing, who built the bumpers on my car. And you can check him out on Facebook if you're in the Connecticut area. He does good fab work. But I'm headed out. We're gonna pick some up and we're gonna be able to start on the body. The only problem is my truck. Yes, the one that I'm driving right now. It's leaking transmission fluid at a very profuse rate from a spot that I don't think I could fix on the road. Now, it looks like it's coming out of the front of the bell housing. So that tells me the pump or the seal for the torque converter might be shot, which stinks because I've already rebuilt this transmission. And it really stinks to get out of the truck. So I guess that's gonna have to come back out again. Lovely, but we'll have to get to that some other time. I've got about a half gallon of transmission fluid with me. If she starts slipping, we're just pouring it in and continuing on our journey. I got my plow truck, but that thing is horrible to drive, so, and it's full of scrap metal. So we're just gonna get this done and get home and hope we don't break anything along the way. There we are, Rhode Island. Thank you, Metal Supermarkets. Kind of an interesting little place. Off in the industrial sector of Warwick. Kind of sketchy. That's okay. They gave me a decent deal. Probably the best deal I had on metal, so probably be coming back. Now that I got a truck bed full of metal, let's get home and start bending it. Back at the shop, luckily we made it. I didn't notice where that leak was coming from, and I haven't noticed that leak before in the truck. And man, having that go bad kind of stinks because I only rebuilt that transmission like really not that long ago, like less than 10,000 miles. And that stinks because if it lasted that long and then let go, is it my fault or is it a part failure? I don't know. We'll have to dig into it someday. And I don't really want to deal with it, but I have to because how am I supposed to make it to Stafford? It's my truck. I have the Ford, but no, let's not go there. Anyway, I have to figure out what I'm going to do because I need a workspace. And a workspace is really kind of difficult to come by right now. So here's what I'm thinking. Get the rest of the body off, first off, and throw it outside somewhere. I don't know what to do with it yet. But the engine's kind of in the way too, because I haven't heard from the engine builder, and I don't think my carburetor's done yet. So I might have to give him a call, see how progress is going. But I also don't have my flywheel, which we both forgot. I forgot, he forgot. It's not here. And I need that in order to put the motor together. So what I was thinking of doing was grab a strap, take this bar out right here, put some motor mounts and all the other stuff on the motor, and just stick it in the car. Couldn't hurt, right? At least it'll be out of the way. Then what we can do is we can bolt all the wheels and tires back on, put it back on the ground, get the jacks out of the way, because I got my quick jacks under the car, you can tell right there. And we could roll those out of the way, get the body off, start trimming these apart to try to get templates made, because I used the old body panels for templates. And we can get this thing rolled forward out of the garage enough that it'll offer me a workspace behind me on the flat concrete, so that when I get the templates that I think I have some actual templates that'll fit the nose that I have over in the side yard over here, and I can start tracing and cutting, and we can get going from there. So I think that's the plan. Body's off, like I mentioned. I got to dinking around a little bit, and I made this little patch panel here fit the channels of the back bumper, so now it actually looks proper. I could have trimmed it a little bit more there. That's okay. I just wanted it to sit flush. But you can see how clean and flat and flush this thing is sitting now. Obviously, don't get too used to how this thing looks now, because once it starts getting raced, it ain't gonna look so pretty underneath as well as outside. Got the motor hung in here. That's pretty cool. I didn't tighten any bolt down, and I got a chain wrapped around the roll bars and literally bolted in to the back of the block so that it'll hold it up. That's a grade 8 bolt, so it should be fine. I just know that I've used it a bunch. I gotta weld some more struts out for the fenders now that the fenders are off and set into a spot with which I want to work with. And this thing is really sharp. I think I'm going to take the old buzzer wheel here and knock a bunch of this crap off. We're definitely going to get to welding all the way around instead of leaving it like that, because that's crap. We'll get it nice and cleaned up. We'll make it a little bit stronger so it doesn't flex as much and doesn't collapse onto a tire. But I think I'm going to have to call it for today. It's, well, getting dark. I got other obligations for tonight, and just getting the foundation was a really good start. You know, now we're at the point where I can drop her down, we can roll her out, we can give ourselves a little bit of room to start cutting, tracing and stuff. Then we can roll it back in once we get everything traced and cut. I can go over here to where the backup front piece is and use those two brakes that I have, the sheet metal brakes, one I made, one I bought. We'll have to move some stuff around. It's not really a lot. There's not a lot in this yard. There's a jug, there's used parts that I should just scrap unless somebody wants to come pick it up, then be my guest. But we'll get to that table and we'll start bending stuff, and I can get my truck out of the way and I can start putting things away, and it's all a process. But for now, I'm going to go inside, give the kids some food, get a little bit of rest, because I finally got back to working out and hitting the weights, and it looks like my little eye thing kind of cleared up, huh? It's not looking so bad no more. And then we can come back out here, hopefully tomorrow for a couple hours maybe, and dink around a little bit more and see what we can get done. So it's the next day, and clearly it's already getting dark out because I just got home from work. I'm looking at these fenders and doors, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why do I have to make it with a curve in the door? I've been doing this for years. And the reason I did that was because the doors and other quarters and fenders that I used as templates had that in it. Because somebody else made them, so I just made templates of my own. But why? Why don't I just make it so that it's a straight line? I don't need to make these curves. It's ridiculous. It's utter, I don't have to. It's stupid. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it and just make them straight. What I'll do is maybe I'll measure, like take a tape measure and actually measure out what I need for heights and lengths, and then we'll just custom do everything. Maybe I'll use the front fender radiuses and stuff that I have as templates, but other than that, why don't I just straight line the doors? It would make cutting and doing this so much faster. So I'm thinking of taking measurements from, say, here. The doors, you know, I might just take and use as a template, but I'll just kind of fudge the template. But I want to take measurements and make sure that it's long enough, because that's usually a problem that I end up coming across. And then once I get the door cut, I think I'll figure out, like, you know how it would probably be curved like right here. So if I take the furthest edges on the fender, like about here, and as it curves like this, and at the bottom, I'll just straight line that. And then the furthest out point on the door is where I'll mark and just straight line that. It'll probably have about that much overlap, which is totally fine. I do want a little bit of overlap. And it'll give us a little bit of wiggle room. For the rear quarters, I'll likely just template the rear quarter completely, because it gives me a good radius for this tire well. It shows me this body line here, because that is molded in to the upper quarter, I guess you could call it. And it doesn't give me a lot of excess over here as well. So just as long as I have enough overlap and height, and I can at least eyeball the radius on the fender well for the fender, we'll get a good start there. I need to rebuild the entire cap for the front fender, as well as use that to trace the new upper line for the side panel that I put on, because I have two-piece fenders. I make it so that the front fenders have that stock looking rake to them. You know, they're not straight lines, a stock front fender. Stock front fender kind of comes down a little bit. It's got a little bit of arc to it. So I try to mimic that, and I make it so that when I go to rebody the car, the top piece will stay intact, whereas we can just reskin the sides of it really easy. So I'm just kind of looking at my options, and I might just measure this area right here and see if I can fit a 4x8 sheet. I might have to take the front nose back off to work here, but I mean, as long as I don't have to really do a lot to move the car and I can work indoors instead, that's kind of the idea here. So let me get a broom and clean this up, grab a couple tape measures, and see if I can even fit one in here. Okay, I figured it out. A couple little things here need to just kind of get out of the way. Not a huge deal. That jack stand, the hood, I can put other places, no big deal. What I should do is make sure the back of the car is kind of cleaned out, put it on the ground, and just roll the car backwards. Because it looks like if I just roll it back, I'll get another foot or two. I'll actually have enough room to, and if I need more room, I can take this off again. But if I roll it back, I think I'll have enough room to be able to work inside here and not have to roll the car out, which means I don't have to move the engine stand. I don't have to move my truck. I don't have to move a whole bunch of crap outside. Only when I need to work on something will I have to move some stuff away from the bench that has all the brakes and stuff in them. So that's the plan right now. We'll clean out behind the car. We'll roll it back. We'll sweep, and we might just be able to get a 4x8 sheet in here, and we'll just have to work one at a time out of the truck. Yeah, that's not so bad. I remembered that I probably have to leave the front nose on in order to get measurements and do all the front logistical planning, I guess you could say. So we're going to leave it there on the ground. I'm going to, since I don't think I need to get into here very much, I'm probably just going to go grab the 4 sheets out of the truck and open the door. At least I didn't turn the heat on and waste that. So I am just freezing the whole time. But I think we're going to go line up 4 sheets over here. And when it comes time to lay them out, we can always just shut the door, lay them out right here, have the heat blaring when we do it, and just one at a time. And then whatever scrap we have, as long as it's usable, I might find a place for it. Otherwise, don't really care. So we got it in. That's good. My elbow doesn't really work, so picking things up like this sucks now, but it is what it is. I'll just live with it. And I As long as I can go like this with a steering wheel, that's fine. And I can. So I don't really have a lot of time on Mondays and Tuesdays to work because of other obligations that I have outside of the shop in the evening. Namely, my iracing league on Tuesdays, and I record some podcasts on Monday and stuff. So I have other hobbies, like I said. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to have it all set. We'll lay it out here now. I'm going to go in. I'm going to do my thing for my normal Tuesday night shindig, which, by the way, I will be live streaming this race. I know this is too late for you to know, but I did put up a post, and that is the race that I'm talking about. That happened, well, by the time you watch this, last week. And it's just intentional insanity, as my buddy put it. And I hope that you guys enjoy that stuff. I don't plan for the iracing thing to be a full-time thing every week. I will definitely use it because it's the off season, and I know people are probably starved for racing content and stuff, but it's all I can really offer you, and it's better than nothing at this point. But it's not going to be a every week type of deal. You don't have to tune in if you don't want to. It's a virtual racing live. If you want to, that's fine. If not, that's fine too. I just put it up there because I figured it would be kind of interesting and fun. And like I said, no participation necessary. So this past week, the one I'm talking about that already happened by the time you watch this is why I'm going inside right now, was a chaos race. Basically, we'd put a race together, not to be serious, just to have a goofy time and have some fun with each other and not take it seriously. So I'm going to enjoy that, and I'm going to go in and get prepped up ready for that. Tomorrow, hopefully, we'll be taking some of the body panels apart and laying them out and starting cutting. Once we start cutting, we can start shaping. Maybe I'll get the, what I'll do is I'll probably cut the doors first. I don't know exactly what order. Doors and then quarters, and then we'll do fenders last, because I need to be able to have sheet metal scraps that are big enough for me to do a strip with a flanged edge on both sides, and that I can shrink and stretch and do whatever I need to get the form shape that I want. So I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Finally back in the shop after doing yard work until it got dark out, which doesn't leave me a hell of a lot of time to get to work on this, but we're going to do what we can. First on the agenda is going to be one thing. At least the front nose and the front supports are on the car, which means I can get the top cap of the fender done. Top cap comes from back to front, lays out kind of where the fenders are going to be, and then once we get those made, we can start tracing out fenders. I have a couple plastic templates from an old body. If you're a longtime viewer of the channel, you'll remember that level of failure. But we're going to use that, and we're going to add a little bit of height to all of the wheel well openings so that we can get them kind of put into a spot where they're supposed to be. What we'll do is, that's kind of the front fender here. Now you'll notice I got this curved edge right here. Why does it have to be curved, right? On a factory car, it looks like that because that's how the doors opened. They needed that curve in order to open and have some style. This is a race car. We don't need that. What we can do is just take the furthest point here, maybe extend it an inch, drop it straight, cut a line. I'm going to leave the top alone. And this little area here that I duct tape on was actually made to be a template for the other nose that I have. That's to fit the Speedway nose. What's under there will fit the, you can't see it, it's on the back of the car, the 5-star nose, the MD3 nose. So I'll take and I'll make this based off of that. But like I said, I'll leave the top line open. I'll make the cap for the fender first. Then once I get the sheet laid out and we put this down on it, we can put the cap down on its side and then trace the cap line so that the fender will mate straight up to the cap. And I think I have some sheet metal that's off in the corner that I haven't been using, but I've been saving. We might just drag that out, measure the cap, make a little extra, like an inch on each side for a flanged edge, and then we can start bending from there. Okay, what are we going to look at here? I'm considering how wide to make it. I know these fenders from the factory aren't very wide. They're probably only about like this. They're probably only about 2.5 to 3 inches on the top. I don't really want that. I want it a little bit wider to cover any little gaps that I might have in the hood. And yeah, I know a thinner one might actually be a little stronger too. So I think my old one used to be 6 inches, and that's, wow, that's really wide. I wonder if I should make the new ones like 4 inches. So cut them to 6. 1 inch on each side. Why don't we try that? We'll try 4 inches. And it only has to come to the end of this. So let's see how long we got to be. If we went all the way to the windshield, which I don't anticipate doing, that would be 56 inches. Let's check the other side. Exactly the same. 6 by 56, 2 strips each. Got it. Well, the scrap piece that I have isn't the greatest. It would almost fit. It's only 11.5 inches, which I'm like, well, maybe I can make it work. But then I get down here, and there's like, oh, there's a little ding there. Oh, there's a little ding there. That one I'm not worried about. That's past where I would need to cut. But that one kind of shuts me down because that's right within, I think 50, what was it, 56 or 58 inches? Whatever it is, it's like right here. So that's not going to work for me. So what I think I'm going to do is instead, we'll start cutting the rear quarters. And I'll try taking this one, which is disgusting. But I'll take it and I'll just kind of clamp it onto the car and see how it fits. And if I need to make a modification for that rear bumper cover, I'll see if I can just make it after I cut it. But I want to see if the top edge here that's supposed to go on that body line lines up. So maybe I'll go stuff that on there, see how that fits. If the lower end is going to get to the bottom of that rail where that brace is, stuff of that nature. I think this is off the old car and a left side. Yeah, I even grabbed the one that was the longest. So I think the body's actually, like the roof is a little taller than the old car, which is fine. I mean, cars are different. I also might have put that brace in a little higher in the other car. Who knows? But that's at ride height. And I did use a right angle magnet when I put it in, so that's pretty much ride height. So, all right. I figured out that the wheel well had to be moved back a hair because I forgot that I'd cut this edge out. And it used to be here. Now it's here. And I tried to line it up and I'm like, wow, that that wheel well is not right. So luckily I got it set up now where I can mark. I don't think I'm going to cut it. I'm just going to kind of wipe it down because I'm sick of touching it. And just kind of mark where the edges are. Like here's where the roof is on the right side. Here's where the end of the body for the tailpiece is on the right side. I need to add a little bit because it's not long enough. You know, stuff like that. Just write notes on it. The upper line here, though, I don't know, seems to be fine. That's something I'll probably just rivet to and it'll be whatever. So we'll add 1 inch there. I think it's at least, yeah, it's right at the top of that. So like 1.25 inches to the bottom there and we'll square it off better. Maybe I'll draw a line and make this kind of straight, even though the door is going to go over it. Otherwise, it's not so bad. So we'll get to marking this up and cleaning it, and then I'll take it to the other side, and we'll see how it fits over there first. See, normally I'm not doing this sort of thing. I'm not really test fitting or measuring things. Usually I'm just making a body for the same car, but this is, well, it's a completely different car. And the roof is in a different spot. It's not a full frame car, it's a tube car. It's got a different cage height, it's built different. Everything is different. Roof height minimum has to be different. So there's just a lot more that has to go into this, but I don't mind. I mean, it's not that difficult to just say, hey, you know, add a piece here or there, whatever. What does stink is the fact that I'm probably gonna have to do the quarters and the doors before I can see what kind of material I have left over to do the front fender caps. So I'm kind of working backwards in plan right now, but I mean, when you're at the point where everything has to be done anyway, you might as well just start somewhere and just do whatever comes first. So I need to get a marker. That's what I was doing. You'd think that I'd be a lot more kinder and gentler to the body of my race car because of how much I hate doing this. But you'd be wrong. Nope, I've never learned my lesson, and I don't intend on now. This one I screwed up. This one's not so bad looking. I'm gonna have to go through with a hand cutter. I forgot what they're called. That's how tired I am. But we're gonna have to clean up a lot of these edges, like I goofed up that one right there. That's pretty ugly. And what are these things called again? I forget. Too tired to remember. Here's the back though. And it doesn't look too bad. I cut it big, making sure that the wheel wells will fit. I got a little extra on the back, the bottoms, and the wheel wells. As long as the top edge fits, we can just get it on the car and then massage it from there using those and whatever else we need. These scrap pieces, I mean, I'm not saving that. Definitely not saving little piggy tails. Don't care about them. Something like this, like nice and square, I'll keep. Maybe even this little guy here. But this stuff here, nah, I'm gonna throw it all. I'm gonna throw a majority of it away. But I did end up with this. Nice, long, it looks about 6-inch piece. I'll have to measure it when I get a chance, see if I could actually use it. If not, that's okay. Because when we go to make the doors, the problem is, doors are expensive because they use a lot of these. And you can only get ghosts. You can only really get one door per sheet. So when you're making your own doors, even if you bend them up yourself, cut them yourself and everything, they're still $75 a piece. And you'd think I'd be nice to them, but nope. This is kind of the reason why whenever I have a body on my car, I tend to leave it on there until I can no longer pound the dents out and make it look halfway presentable. Then I bite the bullet and put a body on it. This year, however, with a sponsor coming on board, going to a brand new racetrack, going full out with a new car, it's total new body time. And haven't done that in a long time. We're going to be extra cautious with this one. I'm not going to buy more of those because I made a mistake. So we're going to cut extra and trim if necessary. All right, I think I'm going to go test fit these maybe, or at least get them out of the way and put them on the correct side of the car that they're supposed to be on. And then, or maybe I'll just line them up and get a good idea of where the measurement's going to be for the doors. I know how tall they're going to be. I know how long they're going to be. And they're essentially rectangles anyway. So I'm not going to do the fancy little arc on the door and make that, it doesn't need to be a thing. It's a race car. You never notice from the outside. Who cares? As long as the lines look cool, that's all that matters. So I was thinking of getting extra froggy and getting the body mocked up and then using a bead roller to put the factory little marks in the side of the body, but I don't know about that. That's almost trying too hard at this point. So I think we'll just mock the thing up, see what we can do to cut doors. The other major issue we're running into isn't any of this. It's this. It's dark out. And I don't have room in here for my old sheet metal brake that I made myself, which I'm going to need for the tops of the fenders and for the doors. So I gotta go, and plus they're covered in crap outside, so I have to go move all that crap. My truck's in the way too. I'm gonna have to move that to get the crap out. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get to bending things tonight. I might just wait until tomorrow to do that. However, that doesn't mean we can't measure and cut out the body as we need it. So let's get to work on that. I gotta get to throwing away all this extra cut off material, and I gotta make another spot for this. And you know what really stinks is the floor. Let me get you down here and show you what's really wrong. My floor is not smooth. So if you put sheet metal on here and then step on it, it dents. For example, oh, there's a little bit. See that in the light? It's always nice to pre-dent your doors and fenders and quarters, isn't it? I'll grab the tin snips, which is the name that I forgot what it was before, trim these up, get them out of the way. I know I've been talking a lot, and I just had an idea. What if I used this point right here as a reference point? Like, what about using reference points, you know? That's what I'm thinking about doing. I'm thinking, okay, the door, we all know where the door is going to be. It's going to rest somewhere over here to overlap this quarter panel and this roof post that's fiberglass. And I need it to come in, but I'll measure all that later. And I'm going to roll it over and all sorts of stuff. I need it to come down this way and then eventually meet up with the fender, which I haven't made yet. So what if I just use this as a reference point for the middle of where the overlap will be? I'll go, okay, I'll make it, you know, this far over here, and then this one, I'll go, okay, we'll make it this far over here. Pretty simple, right? So I can at least measure to this or add an inch from there for my length. And then I'll just measure from that bottom bar at ride height up to, I don't know, wherever I think the top of the door is going to be, plus 2 inches, because I'll make a, or maybe plus 3. I'm not sure yet. Maybe I'll do plus 3. I'll do a 2-inch top to the door and a 1-inch flange. That way at least my bender can pass by it without running into itself. All right. Doors. 33 by 61. Plus 2-inch top flange. I'm running out of arm. 1 inner full and okay. Yikes. If you can see the lines, you can see why I said that doors are typically one sheet. Because luckily I grew a brain and I realized that I can make these things, you know, with straight edges. I don't need to make shapes. So I'm actually saving a little bit more material. But on the flip side of that, we still can't really do a heck of a lot with this excess material because it doesn't really fit anything. If a fender fit that, oh boy, I'd be real happy. But I doubt that that's long enough because, well, remember I said this has to be about 58 inches? Well, these are only 48 inches wide because they're 8x4. So, doomed on that. But I got it traced out. I will cut it in a second, but I wanted to show you why I knew we were going to be able to do these tops, even with having to cut out everything the way it is. Cutting these square, like I said, saves me a lot of area, but that also saves me 15 1/8 inches here by the looks of it. Well, it's really 15, but the width of this marker is kind of thick, but I only need 12. So we can build 2 fender tops out of this spare piece here with ease. We don't have to worry about it. We're going to have plenty of material. When I cut the other door, shoot, I could even stamp together a rocker panel if I wanted to, but I'm not trying to do that this time. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to kind of build a body where I don't need to add anything to make it work. I'm trying to set it on these lower stanchions down here, which are at ride height. And I want to just kind of cut them and like smooth them off with my little buzz device over here. And make it so that I don't have to add another piece, like a rocker panel. You know, they have these rivet-on rocker panels, a lot of late models, super late models, street stocks. Every aftermarket body manufacturer makes them, but I don't want to use them because, well, to be fair, it's an extra piece. It's extra weight. I don't need it. I'm already heavy enough as it is. So I just want to make it trim with the flush part of the bottom of that, and we should be fine. The rules only allow the body to be at ride height, or minimum, whatever the ride height is. So we might as well just put it at ride height, and then we don't have to worry about it. Let's get to cutting these out. I'm sick of being out here. My elbow's killing me. I want to go relax. And I'd really rather have the doors cut out so that tomorrow we can at least get the tops of these made and maybe even make the fenders and start bending stuff. But I always over plan and underachieve for the evenings that I work. So coming together. Got the pieces cut. Got this one ready to be cut in half and formed into the front upper fender. Whatever. Doors, quarters. Still got one left so that we can put together the front fenders. But I am tired. My elbow doesn't work anymore. I can't even pick up these pieces of sheet metal anymore tonight because I have to go like this and try to lift like that. No. That's a no. Luckily, like I said, race cars have power steering. So all I have to do is just kind of lean on it a little bit. I don't really need that much elbow. Anyway, tomorrow's a new day, and hopefully we can at least get some bending done because we really, really need that in order to keep going forward. It's actually a few days later. I spent all day yesterday driving and didn't have enough time to come and work in the shop. And it was pouring rain all day anyway, so I couldn't get outside to go use my bender that's outside anyway. And if you can hear by the background, it's still raining. So if I want to get anything done today, I'm probably going to have to go stand out in the rain to do it. Oh well, I guess if you want something done, you're going to do what you need to do. But it wasn't a completely wasted day. What I did was I drove 165 miles after I got out of work to get my flywheel and my carburetor, which is pretty awesome. So I talked to the motor guy. He said he ran the carburetor on another motor, said it went really well, and I'm glad. Like, he said, oh yeah, it's really nice. You got a nice unit there. I'm like, okay, well, that's good to know. And he surfaced the flywheel, made sure that was balanced and everything for me. So I can put the drive line of the motor back together, which is sweet, except we're not working on that right now, are we? So it's cold, I hate it, but we're gonna get work done. We're gonna get these doors bent. We're gonna get the tops of the fenders cut out. and we're gonna go bend them. And if it's raining out when we do it, well, it sucks to be us, doesn't it? But we got to get this done. We got to get this video out, and I can't really spend any more time on this right now. We got to do this. So I'll get these top fenders cut out, and we'll start bending stuff. Yep. That hurts. Oh, jeez. Guess I gotta do it the old-fashioned way. Soaked. One down, I guess another one to go, and then I gotta do the doors, which I don't know how the heck I'm gonna get those done if these don't bend. Soaking wet. So they look pretty good from 5 feet away, right? Guess that's all that matters. Same with these. That's all that matters. I'm gonna go put these soaked gloves next to the fire that I got going on over there. Maybe they'll dry out, maybe they won't. Don't really care. At this point, we need to get these just kind of moved and wiped down. I need to find a towel, get the water off it so that they don't rust, because we don't need any further problems. Wipe these down, and then I can start taking these over to the workbench, which is completely full of crap, and pull my shrinker stretcher out and start putting some curve to this so that we can then lay out the final sheet, put a template on there, maybe, and figure out what the upper radius arc is going to be for the fender tops and trace everything else. What I got here is a shrinker stretcher. I think I can't really remember where I got it from. It's either some weird outlet store that was like a Harbor Freight before a Harbor Freight, or I might have got it from Harbor Freight. I might have got it from Amazon. Doesn't really matter at this point. What it is cheap and kind of crappy, but it does the job. Now the point of this thing is to shrink or stretch metal. And in shrinking and stretching metal, what you want to accomplish is taking it and creating a bend in it without making it look like you're putting a bend in it, or putting a bend in it for the sake of fitting it to what you want it to do. Now what I have here is a shrinker. And what it's going to do is it's going to pull the metal together every time I go like this with this jaw. There's a second jaw, I can pull this one out and make it stretch. What a shrinker will do is take this and kind of go like this with it and point it down. If I wanted it to go up, I would stretch this side. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but that's just kind of how it works. Now, how I want this to work is I want to put a nice radius bend in the front fenders. And in order to do that, what I usually do is I just kind of mark and just kind of make a bend through like the central section here until it's about something that looks right. But I just don't really know how to do it precisely. You know, I'm not trying to teach people how to do it precisely. I just kind of, I don't know, I do it by eye, I guess, you know? So what I'll do is I'll take a tape measure, I guess. I don't really have any other thing that I can do with this. We'll measure it. I'm pretty sure it's what, 56? Yep, 56. So half of that would be, no, it wouldn't be 28, would it? I'm real bad at math.
See, this is what happens when you doubt yourself. I actually got it right. So what we'll do is, I guess, I'll lose the cap off my paint marker. There's kind of 28-ish. By the way, thanks to my cousin for these. Super secret markers. I forget how I did it the last time. I might have done it 2/3. I don't know, I might have done it the whole way down. Who knows? But either way, how it works is this. Like I said, you just kind of go like this, and you just kind of keep massaging it until it creates the radius that you're kind of looking for. I'll do this a whole bunch, and then we'll compare one against each other, okay? So I ran a quick bend on this, both sides. And if I put it up against this one, you can kind of see, if I hold them together, there's a noticeable gap. They were straight before. Now the top one, which you can see that little mark there, is a little bit more radiused. Pretty neat, right? Adds a little bit of a design flair to your race car if you don't have some, thing that looks like you designed it with a T-square. Gives it a bit of a more factory look without actually being factory. So I think I might do a little bit more towards the end. Like I said, I'll probably do a little bit from before half to about the 2/3 mark. So about here to here. So it'll look a little bit more like factory, but it'll have this flatter edge up top and a little bit of a flatter edge down at the bottom so that we can make sure that it fits our body mounts on the car. Get what I'm talking about. Obviously this isn't exactly where it's going to sit because it's up a little high in the front. I gotta notch out a little section so that it can pass by, you see that thing there, and then I gotta come back here and make sure that it's not gouging out the windshield. So I'm gonna have to like slant cut it like a little bit like that, and then make sure that's not doing its thing. But you can get the idea, right? It's really not bad. You can see it's way better than having just a straight line, like I said, and it's going to be a lot cooler. So hopefully that should do nicely. I think now is the time where we label which side's which, even though they're pretty much the same by eye. And we can get this place a little bit cleaned up so I can lay a piece of sheet down here. Get the last sheet out, layer down, see what we got for a template. Piece by piece, you see it taking shape. Quarters, doors, fenders, upper fenders, everything is cut. Also, I did a little bit of prep work. I did make the front edge a little long because I didn't remember where it was going to line up to. Then I remembered I could have just lined it up to here. but that's okay. I just wanted to make sure I had enough material that I can trim whatever I don't need, because I'm starting to scratch here and I don't have any templates to really kind of go off of except for old ones. So I wanted to be extra safe. I even went to the length of, I measured the height of the nose piece back here from the bottom to the very tippy top where it's going to meet my fender, about 23.5 inches. I made sure that this front edge here was about 23.5 inches. And like I said, if I got to trim it back to meet the nose piece, that's fine. I'm basically going to get this put on. I'm going to mate the back end to the back end, kind of like this. Oops. The radius doesn't look too bad. You know, I'm going to mate it up back end to back end here. Okay, so that's about there, that's about there. So it's not too bad on the radius. And then we're going to, you know, put this top and bottom together. I'll hang the nose off of it because the nose is going to sit right on this perch. And we can use jack stands or whatever to support the bottom to get the angle we want. And then when we see, because by the way, if you didn't know, I've seen a lot of people do this. Clearly, this indentation here, this flanged edge, goes under your fender, so it creates a flush side. I've seen guys just stretch these and stick them over top of the fenders, and that looks kind of ridiculous. Their line of thinking is, well, you're riveting it to metal. My line of thinking is, I can put washers on the backside. And mine looks better. So we're going to figure out when we put the nose on that straight line, cut it to fit, and then we'll have a nice flush piece when we put the nose on. But I think that's going to be it for this video because, man, I don't know if it's old age or if I'm actually like trying to lose weight, but I'm tired a lot. So I don't know what that means, but I'm going to go rest. I'm going to go put this video together. I can't work tomorrow. That's the only reason why I'm not putting this stuff together tomorrow, because I can't. I have to go to work. I have to do some other stuff when I get home, so I'm cutting the video a little bit short. It probably won't be short, but I'm thinking it will be. Who knows? So anyway, we've got a lot to do now. I've got my carburetor back. I've got my flywheel back. I got the motor in the car. I got the body panels all cut and bent. I've got all this stuff to put back together. I got my everything. Everything is here. Not only that, but I also have all the materials to do it too. So in the next 2 videos, you'll see me putting this body together and then putting the rest of the car together. Probably not in that order. Probably not that simplified, but because we still have to put a rear bumper on the car. We still have to do a couple other little things, like get the hood ready and stuff. But for the main part, I think the next video, you'll see the body go on the car. And if I finish early or whatever, we'll figure it out. Until then, thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate your patience, your time, your efforts, your energy, your opinions, everything necessary to run a successful channel, which, by the way, yeah, we're small potatoes. I know that. But for me to have whatever little reach I have is extraordinary, and I appreciate every single person who's helped me there. We will get this car done soon. We will have other projects if we run out of stuff to do on this thing, I guess. I'm not sure, but like I said, this is a mechanical, racing, engineering, fabricating channel, and it's all DIY, every last bit of it. I built not the chassis, but everything else that goes along with it. The chassis was built professionally, and I'm not that. So let's just leave that there. If you have a friend you know who might be interested in this sort of thing, please send them my way. Word of mouth is the best way to grow a channel like this. I don't have money to advertise. And if I had money, I wouldn't need to advertise. Let's be fair. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell anybody you think who might be interested in cars, fabrication, and doing it yourself. But until next time, thank you all for watching. I greatly appreciate it.